Hello, and welcome back to all of our listeners and sometimes viewers. This is Real Talk with Jesse and Sherrard, and this is episode 22, which is super exciting. And we are
Yeah,
going to talk about 988 Day, which is even more exciting. So yay for the party. Um,
really.
we have got our amazing guests on who are going to tell you more about themselves. We have got Heather from LACG, our sister agency with 988 in Louisiana, and returning guest Erin Sims with VIA LINK. They are our brain children and go-getters when it comes to creating 988 Day. I don't know why I went with children, but we'll roll with it. Um, but Heather, we have gotten to talk a good bit on the pod because we're hip about VIA Link being super proud to be one of Louisiana's 988 centers, and LACG is our sister and the dream team of providing 988 in Louisiana. Could you maybe tell our listeners some about LACG and what y'all do, and then of course about your role and all that you do for the agency?
Yeah, of course. This is one of my favorite things to do because I have the longest name and I work for an organization with one of the longest names ever. So I'm Heather Kleckinger, and I'm the director of the 988 Lifeline here at the Louisiana Association on Compulsive Gambling. Just a small piece of information about LACG. We're actually celebrating our 25th year of actually serving the public. Our of course, focus is on helping individuals who have a problem with gambling, where we offer residential treatment to Louisiana residents. We also do outpatient treatment for our part of the state. We're big outreach, education, and advocates for problem gambling awareness. From that, we also answer the problem gambler helpline. I always like to say, if you ever see a piece of marketing or material or hear a piece of marketing material from a casino, you'll see the 1-877-770 stop number. We actually answer for that and take thousands of calls for Louisiana and then also for many states throughout our country, providing support and resources for individuals. We also answer a substance use line for the state of Louisiana. Individuals call and reach out for treatment services. And so we're able to give them not only supports like we do on our other lines, but also give them resources and follow up to see if they make it to those treatment options and try to encourage them to take action on those if they haven't. And then what I do here specifically relates to the 988 Lifeline, just like VIA LINK does. And my role here is very much to be the person who makes sure that when someone calls, that they're going to get impactful help for their crisis. So my passion and my background is in counseling, and so my passion really lies in helping our helpline specialists be the best that they can be on our calls. We want them to be able to be engaged and listen and kind and caring whenever anyone calls in, and so being able to be a part of teaching them those skills is probably one of the things that I'm most proud of in my whole entire life. I love that we get to develop a group of people that are just lay people in many ways. And you don't have to go to school for 10 years to get to do this, but you can really learn a skill set that helps save lives and helps people and impacts them. And we see that every day whenever people feel better at the end of a call, or they call us back whenever they need us again. And it's just one of the things that I'm most proud of that we get to do at the 988 Lifeline and all of our lines, but specifically with the 988 Lifeline.
Is amazing. And I'm always, whenever it's nonprofits that are like, and tell us about what you do. It is always so much. I mean, that is just incredible, all that LACG does. And congratulations on the quarter birthday.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Um, and we are happy to have you both on. And we are very happy to have our own Erin Sims on, Director of Outreach and Advocacy, on with us again. And for those that might have missed you last time, could you introduce yourself and your role at VIA Link?
Yeah, so my name is Erin Sims. I'm a licensed professional counselor in Louisiana, and I work at VIA LINK with Sherrard and Jesse. I am the director of outreach and advocacy on the outreach team with Sherrod. So I go to a lot of events around the state and talk about 988, talk about our work at VIA LINK, do presentations. and try to just connect with people and make sure they know about our services and how to access them and why they matter. I also try to spend time with our legislators and other stakeholders in different ways across the state, like at different meetings or during the legislative session, and make sure they know about how important these services are too.
Yes, and we had
Excellent.
a great episode with Erin. If anybody ever wants to go back and listen to it, about finding that balance with staying informed, but also taking care of yourself, especially during stressful times like legislative sessions and elections and whatnot. So please go back and listen. And for anybody who wants a reminder on all that VIA Link does, go back to episode 1 with Jesse and me. We've got an overview of the agency. And also, episode 2 could be really helpful for you. That is when we have a wonderful interview with our Heather counterpart, which would be Connor Garrett at VIA Link, and we talk all about 988. But quick refresher for anybody who may not know that 988 is the 3-digit dialing code for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That is formerly 1-800-273-TALK. Now you only have to remember those 3 digits, 988. It is available 24 hours a day. It is free to use. You do not have to give us identifying information, and we take your confidentiality extremely seriously. You can always call us about anything you've got going on. That can be that you're stuck in traffic and you feel like you're going to explode and you need to vent to somebody. That can be that you're having a really rough interpersonal time and you need help trying to figure out how you're feeling, how you want to cope with it. And that can, of course, include times of crisis and times of suicide or even suicide safety risks. Like Heather mentioned, we are there for anything and everything you are going through, and nothing is too big or too small to give 988 a call. And a reminder for those that 988 is a national line, but a local service. So even for our out of state listeners that we have, we encourage you to just look up who your local 988 center is so that you can get to know them more, learn more about how 988 works in your state. That can always just help you to advocate for people to use 988 when you can get real answers about who answers the calls, what their policies are, what their procedures are. You are routed to your local 988 center primarily through geo routing now, which is wonderful. And so VIA Link and LACG, we've split up the state and we are each other's backup centers. And I think that we are a dream team and work very well together in answering those 988 calls and text for our communities in Louisiana. So thank y'all both for being on. And yeah, we're excited to talk about 988 Day.
Yes, we're very excited to have both of y'all on to talk about 98 Day. This year is the second annual 98 Day, which is on September 8th, 9/8, every year. And this year in Louisiana will be the first 98 Day at the Capitol. Can you tell us some about how you had the idea for a 98 Day at the Capitol and what that day will look like?
That's all you, Erin.
Yeah, I'll get us started. So yeah, we just I think from just our desire to have more outreach and advocacy. I think that's kind of probably the main reason that I think it was important for us to try to make the day at the Capitol happen. There isn't a ton of advocacy days around mental health issues, so it felt like a good opportunity to just have our community come together, but also hopefully raise awareness for the importance and the significance that these services provide to people, and just have more of our legislative stakeholders and the people in Baton Rouge who make decisions know how important these services are. So I think that was kind of my main driver for like wanting to have this day. And also, I think it being something that isn't happening everywhere, it's kind of nice that we're leading the charge in Louisiana and putting a brighter spotlight on 988. So I know sometimes it's easy to get down on ourselves, or we see a lot of data about how we lag behind in things, but I think that suicide prevention in 988 is something that we're doing really well. And so I think the ability to shine a light on that and have there be any type of focus on that and bring more awareness to that is really powerful, and feels like something that is worth our time and effort during this busy season of work.
I thought it was such a wonderful idea whenever Erin and Sherrod started talking about and planning it, because I think of 988 as really a connector service in many ways. So on 988, you get counselors have people call 988 when they're stressed out. you have counselors call for resources, and we connect people to those counselors. And so I think 988 Day is so important because it really does show that connection when we have people that show up from all the organizations that we support and who also support us. Because 988 Day is really about suicide prevention and reaching out before it gets to that level. Like you can call out, you can call anytime you think like, wow, I'm feeling like I'm in a crisis, but there's not some cutoff point for it. And so I actually really love that it becomes this day of like education and also showing like we're all working together on this goal of helping people feel better. And so I think that's why it's also another wonderful reason, to have this day in such a great place at the Capitol.
I think so too, Heather. And I think it's so great the perspective you put on that suicide prevention, like doesn't have to be a downer. Like there is so much strength and joy in suicide prevention in knowing that you're not alone. And so many people, most people struggle or cope in both with thoughts of suicide at some point in their life. And we should celebrate the strength that there is in advocating for mental wellness and these great programs that are available in Louisiana that, like Erin mentioned, we do sometimes get down on ourselves because we're often at the bottom of lists on things. But I would actually say that I think that we're pretty above board with our 988 program. And with, like you mentioned, how there's so many great connectors of resources in our state as well. And given this opportunity to be at the Capitol on a beautiful day, hopefully, I can't predict the future. Beautiful day, manifesting. And to also like let people know and remind them that 988 is answered by nonprofits that care about you. So to be like, look, come meet us, come meet Heather, ask us questions. There is nothing that we're trying to hide behind when we're answering calls with 988. We are there to help you and help the people that help others. We are super passionate about making sure that our communities know that 988 is a service for everyone and that we're there for everything and anything that someone is going through. Um, Heather and Erin, could y'all tell us who all is coming to the 988 Day at the Capitol event and who all should be encouraged to come?
Yeah, so I think we think everyone should be encouraged to come, and I think the main people who know about it and are helping us get the word out and who will be a part of our community resource fair are our mental health providers, our behavioral health providers. Some are statewide organizations, some are more local, some of our other first responders, fire department, police department, students from our local universities and high schools. So those are all the people that we know have RSVP'd and are kind of partnering with us during the day, but we really hope that it is for everybody. A great part of the day is just, again, getting the word out about 988 because a lot of people that work in this profession, or if you listen to this podcast, you might be like, duh, who doesn't know about 988? But a lot of times when we're doing presentations, it can surprise you. And so we definitely want to make sure that there isn't any doubt in anyone's mind, not just what 988 is, but what it's for and how you can use it. So it's not good enough just to know the digits and know it's the suicide prevention line or maybe what you saw on a billboard. We want people to really understand that they can call anytime, that it's a resource that can connect you with other things. So I think that's an important part of the day is it's not closed to anyone, it's for everyone. And the people you can maybe expect to see there are going to be people that care about this issue and people that work in this realm.
So everybody.
Yeah.
Hopefully everybody
Just like
in good
988 is for
weather.
everybody, 988 Day is for everybody.
Totally.
I agree. And I know that y'all touched on it a little earlier, and we talked about 988 is not only just for emotional support, it's also a resource line for behavioral health services. Could you tell us some about how you brought in other partners and resources for this event?
Sure. So one of the parts of our outreach and a part of the events is that we really want individuals that are a resource for the community to be there that day so that they can talk about their service and so they can connect with individuals who are there. We will obviously LACG will have a table there. VIA LINK will have a table there. We will have participation from NAMI and also from the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So those will be individuals who are, engaging in community projects and supporting people. And so they'll be there. Who else do we have on our list, Erin?
Some of our other partners, yeah, our peer initiative, which is, more of a teen and school-based initiative out of Lake Charles, Louisiana Mental Health Coalition, Mental Health Association, and Rain Will Bring Flowers. I think those are kind of all of our main partners that we, have been kind of brought in, and we connected with them through work that we're already doing. The great part about this community, I think, is that we're all already kind of know each other and are working together. So when we had the idea for this day, it wasn't like we needed to go meet people. Like, luckily, we already are connected, and that felt nice to kind of bring the people that we work with, maybe like in our own little corners of the state, like together on this day, because everyone can kind of just be working with their heads down sometimes in this type of work. And it can be nice to kind of look up and remember that you are surrounded by a community of people that care and are kind of driving forward all of this work that we're doing. So I think we started at the statewide suicide collaborative, trying to think about who are our partners there. And then I know that Heather has some great partners too that are helping, that do help, that are aspects of their other work that are willing to support this work, which is so great too. That we work at call centers that might have different lines that support different areas, but that at times like these, we're able to kind of bring together those different types of partners and support our kind of broader mission here, which is to make sure people have a place to call when they need to talk to someone.
And we know as well that September is Suicide Prevention Month, which also works out great. That 988 day can fall on 9/8. So the pun is still there, and it is also in the correct month. Now I'm like, I wonder if they figured that out from the beginning. Probably not. Maybe so.
I do want to find the origin story of the 3 code 988. Like I've tried to dig really hard for that and haven't. So anyone that has that would love to know the origin of why those were the code. That was the 3-digit code chosen.
I mean, I know that the 9, because that identifies an emergency, like
Right.
with 911. I don't know either, other than I have been in a convenings and I think they liked the way it looked.
Right. Like
I mean, again, that may have been a throwaway comment, but
there's always a story. I want to know the story. Because like you said, Sherrod, is it because of like there's things like that that are interesting. So
yeah, maybe because like the 8's right next to it. There's also a lot of great things that rhyme with 8. So
also like on its side an infinity symbol, which is symbolic. Like there's like I've seen things like that, but I didn't know if they were facts. Like I'm trying to find like if anyone was like in the room, that's what I'm trying to find out.
All right, leave us in the comments if anybody knows the real origin, or if you have your best theory. We'd love to hear that too.
Yeah. Any theory. Yeah, we want to know.
Any theory about anything.
Yes.
So with September, again, I think a time, I might be wording it weird to say that like we want to celebrate suicide prevention, and that suicide prevention is not morose, I guess is really what I want to say, and that we really want to advocate for the strength in behavioral health and community around behavioral health and supporting all of our fellow human beings, because we all have brains, so we all have mental health to different degrees for different people. It's wonderful to have a month dedicated to breaking down stigmas and barriers surrounding suicide and what responding to suicide looks like. I mean, I think Heather, it was wonderful you mentioning that you don't have to have a fancy degree or licensure or anything like that to be able to learn some skills on how to respond to someone who you're worried about or who might be having thoughts of suicide. And most importantly, to learn how to listen, because that's really, I think, the bulk of what help giving is to provide that safe space to listen. I know at VIA LINK, we're excited about a few other things we're doing in September. We will be hosting on September 2nd a lunch and learn it's not a lunch and learn. We're not giving you lunch. It's at lunchtime. We're a nonprofit.
While you learn. Yeah.
Well, it's in the library. You can't eat at the library. Well, I don't know. Maybe you can. I digress. It's going to be at the East Baton Rouge Parish Library. That is going to be a professional development training with counseling and social work CEUs, where we're going to be talking about 988. And if you need to learn more, or if you want a refresher, or you just want some CE credit, please come on. We are also going to be doing the same session virtually on September 22nd. And there are so many great events happening, and Erin is actually working on for us to have kind of a live calendar of some of the wonderful events that are going on with other agencies, so that we can share that with our community members and partners to be aware of what's going on. Um, I've lost my train of thought. Like, I really keep thinking if I keep talking, it'll come back to me.
I know that on the calendar we'll have like community events, we'll have advocacy events, PD events. There's assist trainings that are going to be available pretty much every week of September in different places throughout the state, and even some of our more rural places that might not always have so many resources brought directly to them. So places to get professional development if you're a counselor or social worker, but also take if you're just interested in learning more about the topic and supporting people around you. And then also lots of weekend events that include like fun runs and vigils and time to be together as a community. But we're also going to have some ways to get involved on social media too, if you can't be there or if you need, just a different way to get involved that day.
Mm.
Yes, and I found my thought. It was that for anybody listening who would like to learn more, please go to our website, vialink.org, and click on the Contact Us button and shoot us an email saying that you'd like to hear more about the Suicide Prevention Month events. And that will get to me and Erin, and we will be sure to put you on those email lists so that you can get all of the information that is coming up. And follow us all on social media. Our handle is at vialink211. And Heather, I don't want to misspeak. Is y'all's at Louisiana Association of Compulsive Gambling?
It is. You got it.
At Louisiana Association of Compulsive Gambling. And we will,
On
of course,
on compulsive gambling, but yes,
at Louisiana Association on Compulsive Gambling.
you got it.
And you can keep up with us there with what events will be going on. We'll be doing our best to share all of our partners' events too.
Yeah, and the same for us. We've kind of taken this our plans for the month tend to be, we're really trying to focus on small grassroots opportunities, because what we find is that a big right here with you guys and these bigger platforms, people say, yes, we know about 988, but when we go into smaller community events, like really small, like going to a minister's breakfast on a Thursday morning or going into the police department's community liaison training, those are the people that say, hey, wait a minute, somebody in my neighborhood could use this. I know somebody's mom who could actually use this whenever their son is having a tough time for themselves or to support their son. And so we're really focusing the same way. If you send us emails, we're looking at doing as many really small community events where they can be people really talking about the people in their community who can benefit from the service. So we're doing some Rotary clubs, some church breakfasts, because we really want to do that so that those individuals know how to go out and talk about 988 in their communities with the people that they know and care about.
Yeah, and I think that's so important to the day too. What Heather is saying is like we want this day to be about the people in our community, the people that are that are providing services, that are connecting with others, that are the people who are on the ground doing this work. So I think that's kind of brings it back around to like what this day feels like it's all about to us, is that we're doing this work every day. So let's take some time to acknowledge it on this special day.
Yeah, and really celebrating, I think, the hope and the togetherness that there is in celebrating and advocating and fighting for better mental health and mental health awareness and destigmatization for everybody.
Yeah, and I like that Heather said that they're, focusing on going into like smaller groups and stuff like that, because you never know like how many people don't know about 211 or 988. And I mean, last weekend I was hanging out with some friends and there was a group of homeless people. And, I always try to help out when I can. And, I was over there talking to them and I was telling them, I was like, you guys, y'all should try to call 211, see what resources there are out for you. Or, if you're having a bad time, you can call 988. And they asked me 1,000 questions. And they never heard of 211 or 988 or, anything like that. So of course I, wrote it down for them and gave it to them, and hopefully they'll be able to get some resources and help. But it's so crazy, like when you really think about it, like a lot of people don't know, what 988 is or 211. And when I used to work on the lines, a lot of the people that would call on the 988 lines was like, I'm not going to kill myself, can I still talk to you? Do I have to be at that moment? And I'm like, no, I'm like, you can talk to me if any time of the day, or anything like that. And, people I think are, a lot of people have been like, that's so great because it helps me get from being that bad off to where, I'm at that point where I'm ready, to harm myself. So it's really nice, to keep talking about it and bringing awareness to the communities that no, you don't have to be in that situation to where you're, you feel like you're about to harm yourself. You can call us, no matter what. And I mean, and some of the bonuses of working on the line is some of these people, you talk to and they'll call back and they just want to tell you they had a good day or things are getting better. And that is so rewarding that they feel like they could call us just to tell us that they had a good day. I mean, it's a beautiful thing and it's very rewarding, but it is huge, to know like a lot of people aren't very familiar on 988 or 211, and 988 is such an important number. And when you're in that headspace, it's always nice to know that you're not alone. And so I think it's important as much as we can spread awareness. I have cards that I pass out at the jails and at like food pantries around here and things like anybody I could talk to. I'm just like, hey, this call this number. And, it's so important just because you never know who really needs it or somebody that might be struggling on how to help a friend or a family member that's going through it, but then they find out about this number and they're able to pass it along and it helps saves them or it helps make them feel better, or they get the resource that they needed for counseling or something or anything. And that's what the beautiful aspect of to me it is when we all come together as a team, because we're from different areas. So it's just all nice that we can all come together like that.
Yeah. I love that. I love that, Jesse. And I want to add, I think because I never get to talk about this with other people, so I'm super thrilled to be here with you guys. The idea that 988 actually is sort of sending this message like the crisis doesn't last forever. Like,
Right.
and a crisis doesn't mean that everything in your life has to flip. It's not a complete 180, right? Like if I'm in a
Right.
place of hopelessness and I have to change everything in my life, that feels so overwhelming. And what I love about 988 is that we say like, hey, we can just talk. And at the end, if you feel better, then you've actually managed your crisis in that moment. Like that in
Right.
itself is the thing that helps you feel better. And I really love that it's not like, nope, you've got to do A, B, C, D, all these things that feel so insurmountable. It's like, no, it's just as simple as just talking, venting, processing for a little bit, and then realizing, oh, this doesn't feel like the same level of crisis as when we started. And that feels like that feels like a wonderful thing to celebrate. Because if I had to walk into every day and think like, okay, here's the crisis and how do I manage it? I don't want to I don't want to have to manage all those
Yeah.
crises. And
Right.
when it's like, oh, wait a minute, there's something small that I can do about this to make things feel different. And that feels really hopeful to me.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you. And especially like when I was on the lines, like it's so amazing. Like when you're just like talking to somebody, having a good conversation, helping them work through it. But it's almost like they're talking to you and they realize what they kind of need to do.
Mhm.
You don't have to be like, oh, well, you need to do this, this, and this, and this to fix A through Z. They just need someone to listen. And 9 times out of 10, when they're explaining what's going on and they're talking about what's going on, almost all the time I hear this was amazing, like they come to what they need to do themselves and they're
Mhm.
like, oh, I feel a lot better now and they're happier. And it's not going to take the crisis away at that moment sometimes, but that feeling of being alone and that sitting on your chest and you feel like you have no one to turn to, and you just dial 988, that person that you're going to get is there for you, no
Mhm.
judgment, no, trying to boss you around, no, trying to persuade you to do one thing versus the other, just here to listen. You know, and I've had callers calling to be like, I just need to scream. And I'm like, go for it. You know, like just
Yeah.
scream your head off. Just you do what you got to do. And they scream and they're like, wow, I feel so much better. Thank you for listening. But that's what we're here for, you know, and we all, and everybody needs that. I mean, everybody needs, you know, when they're going through something and it's hard to, you know, talk about it, you know, it's, you know, sometimes you don't want to feel judged, or sometimes you feel like you've talked about it too much with, you know, to your family or your friends, and you feel like they're kind of getting, you know, bored with it, or, you know, they're just kind of like aggravated. They call us and we're just here to listen. And that's the most amazing thing, like, that you can do for somebody, is to just listen to them, be there for them, and just encourage them to, you know, whenever you need us, you know, call 988. You know, we're always here 24/7. You know, we don't close for Christmas. We're going to be here. You know, we're going to be here for Thanksgiving. You know, it's just, it's beautiful being able to wake up and just know that all you have to do is just listen to somebody and really understand, you know, some things are tough for people. And, you know, I saw this thing that says if you can spend 12 to 13 minutes a day with somebody, it can change their whole way of thinking. If they're in, like, either they're on the verge of wanting to kill themselves, or they're on the verge of like having a mental breakdown. I've seen it like posted. It's like give somebody 12 to 13 minutes and it will change their whole mind, you know, of thinking. And I've witnessed that working on the lines before. And I think that's what is amazing, is that just being able to like help save lives, or just help being there for people, and knowing more that, you know, they're not crazy, because, you know, mental health awareness has all these stigmatisms about it. And, you know, some people are embarrassed when they call, and, you know, they feel like they're going to be judged. And, you know, nobody wants that feeling. So the fact that they know that they call us, there's no judgment, we'll listen to them, be there for them. And that's all we have to do, you know, care, just be a kind person, you know, just listen, you know, and that can change someone's whole life. And that's what's amazing to me.
Mm.
Very much so. And I think, you know, to remember even also that like 988 is there for the help givers too. I think
Yeah.
sometimes that gets overlooked, that just because you work in mental health or you're a mental health professional doesn't mean that you don't ever have your own struggles. If anything, sometimes just with burnout and vicarious trauma and countertransference, or just that we work a lot and we are so passionate. So it can feel like really heavy sometimes, even though you love what you do. And we also work in a lot of space of confidentiality, and 988 is there for that too, where it
Yeah.
is confidential and HIPAA compliant, and you can call us and you can talk about what you're going through and your journey of helping other people too. So I also just really encourage other people in help giving positions and first responders and clinicians and all of that to utilize 988 for yourself too. Let's not, we're really good at reminding other people the stuff that is good for their mental
Mhm.
health and their bodies and their well-being. We're not always great at remembering to do it ourselves. So,
And even
um,
our help givers without degrees, because I feel like when I do outreach, sometimes people will be like, I don't need that. But the more I talk to them, they will be a person that's being that for others in their life. And so I will always remember this,
okay,
but
did
it's really
Aaron?
important to know about it because other people in their life might, oh no, did I freeze up?
You're
Yeah,
back.
but
Just
I
for
think
like this
so.
couple of
you rolled
seconds.
back.
Okay, yeah. So just saying, like, a lot of people sometimes will have an initial response, like, I don't need to. But I think, like, the more we kind of sit with it and talk through some of our initial discomfort with the topic, this is something that I think, like Sherrod said, is for everyone and something that's important for everyone to know.
Yeah.
Everybody can get overwhelmed. And
Yeah.
just remembering that, yeah, we are there to listen. We're also there to provide resources. We're also there to help you collaboratively. We can figure out on what's going to help you breathe tonight through what you're going through. What's going to help you let your shoulders go down. What's going to help you feel like you can cope with what you're experiencing, and that the conversations are self-directed. So, I mean, you know how it is sometimes when maybe you've got a bunch on your plate, and when you're talking to a friend or a family member, they want to focus like on this thing because they think it's the bigger issue, and you get so frustrated. And
Mhm.
when you're talking with 988, it's like, we're going to talk about what you want to talk about, and we're going to work on what you want to work on, and what's going to help you wake up tomorrow feeling like you can breathe a little easier. And of course, we will work with you on a safety plan if that's something that's going to be applicable to the caller. Never let that stop you from calling 988. If it's because you truly do need help with your safety, we are there for that. And we are going
Yep.
to help you figure out how you can keep yourself safe in a manner that works for you, is comfortable for you, and is something you can do and you can always call back. And I think that's really important to remember as well.
Yeah. And that's why it's so exciting that they're doing, 98 on the Capitol in Louisiana. I know that we've talked about 98 Day a lot. Um, I do have a question. How can people participate in 98 Day and Suicide Prevention Month if they can't make it out to the Capitol?
So they can definitely join us for any of our other events throughout the month. And then we do have some ways to get involved on social media with posting. If there's something you're doing special in your workplace or in your community, take a picture, tag us in it, post it on social media. I think Heather might have known of some people that had some events maybe around locally that they were doing for if they couldn't be there. I wasn't.
We're doing a really small fun event, which could absolutely anyone else could do this. So for our team that's going to stay here at our offices, those who aren't going to be coming down to the Advocacy Day events, we're going to go around to some local businesses, whether they're nonprofits. We have a local coffee shop that's really interested in 988 as a support for the community. And so we're going to be going and taking pictures with our 988 signage, and then they're going to be putting those out in their planters and in their yard. And I think just taking a snapshot of the 988 logo and posting that in today's 988 Day is a great way to spread that message and spread interest for people on 98.
I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Hashtag 988 Day. And that's the real hashtag. So, and please, if you're in Louisiana, tag us at VIA LINK 211 and at Louisiana Association on Compulsive Gambling. We'd love to be able to interact virtually, and I just spread that community and that awareness of 988 Day or hashtag 988 Day if we are posting on social media. So
I
I
thought you froze for a minute. My bad.
Sorry, well, I did, but it was my brain, not my computer.
I was just going to say, and if people are looking for 988 things to print, they can go to la988.org, and it has all of the media items that someone could print and post and
The
use those
resource
pieces.
generator. Yeah,
Mhm.
you can put no matter what type of business or organization you are, you can
Yep.
co-brand with all of the state 988 stuff on the statewide website. There's also some, I think, on the SAMHSA website, just some national 988 Day resources if you're looking there too. Yeah, there's a good bit of different ways. And you can also contact us if you ever want us to come to an event and pass out 988 swag at your event.
Oh, that's
Yes,
really
and if
cool. That's
you're
good to
in
know.
Louisiana, on louisiana988.org, like Heather mentioned, there is a resources generator where you can create your own flyers and like co-brand them to your agency or your church or your school or whatever you would like. And also you can request, physical materials from us, things like wristbands, like I'm wearing, notepads, pens, all kinds of fun stuff, so that we can just keep flooding 988, just so
Yeah.
that everybody, everywhere you turn, you can be reminded when you're in that moment of like, oh yeah, I can call 988 and I can talk to somebody, and we want to hear from you. Um, I am going to jump and take Jesse's question because I feel like we've talked about mine, but um, we cannot talk about 988 and how busy we are and how passionate we are, and we can't be on Real Talk without talking about some self-care. So, um, Heather and Erin, specifically to y'all, with managing your busy schedules, um, keeping a balance with your passion and compassion, but also knowing that you have to fuel your tank and take care of yourself so that you can take care of others. What are some of the things that you do for your self care? And how do you sometimes know if maybe you're like, "Ooh, I need to take a pause. I need to take a moment for myself"?
You want to go first, Erin, or you want me to go?
You go, Heather.
So I will first off say how I know it, and I don't know another way to describe it except for it feels almost like from the neck down, I'm plugged into an electric socket, and the top up my brain feels numb, and that usually means that I'm trying to think about, talk about, and work on too many things. and that's what stress feels like to me. And I try to be really aware of that through some body scans. And I'll say that like, oh, it feels like I'm like a lamp that's plugged in, and let me take a few minutes. Um, I have here at our offices, our office is set up in like it's a square. The building is a square. And so for me, when I feel that way, I know that I need to move myself a little bit. And so I will do a really quick, fast, brisk walk around the square. And for me, that feels really good because I know where it starts and I know where it stops. And it's almost like my brain says, I know by the time I get to this place in the hallway that I'm going to feel a sense of relief. And it forces me just to stop and say, like, okay, I feel a little bit less buzzy now, and by buzzy, just that feeling of sort of anxiety of there's too many things in my brain going on. And then the things that I do in my personal life, first off, I adore my dog, and I know that my dog is a place where I'm going to feel really good, happy, relaxed. And so making sure that I build in time to spend time with him. And then those are really, I like to think of them as like, I want to keep it really simple on the things that de-stress me. But the thing that I like to build in because it takes time is I love to be outside. I love to be in nature. So I'm a person who gets in a kayak and just um, gets on a lake and just paddles around. It feels like hiking on water and takes a little bit of time. And it takes, I have to sort of manage it and make sure that the time is there, which means that I have to think about, this Sunday I'm going to go do that. And then I have to make sure that my schedule stays clear and it makes me not overcommit to things. And so for me, all those things go together. And so those are some of my self-care things, from really tiny things to bigger things that I have to plan out.
I love that you have given us kind of the spectrum with self-care too, truly,
Yeah, I
because
like that.
we talk about this a good bit, that when there is such an intentionality with self-care that I think you kind of don't realize until everybody inevitably has that moment of being like, oh, I'm burned out and I wasn't actually doing self care. So I love you mentioning that, like intentionality and scheduling. And then also remembering that self care is the things like taking the walk when you're feeling
Mhm.
overwhelmed at work. Self care is not only or always just kind of our elaborate routines or things that we know take out a chunk of our time. Giving yourself the space during the day to walk it out. I love how you said, Heather, to scan your body, get those tensions out, make sure you're breathing. That is self care and it's so important.
Yeah.
I don't know what I said last time, and I think self-care is something that's kind of and should be always evolving. So I will say what I've been doing. After the legislative session, I normally take a pretty large break from the news and from any type of political consumption. For a few weeks. I also always try to physically leave the state of Louisiana in the summer because it's super hot here and I need to experience a different climate. So those are things that I've tried to do, is leave the climate I'm in because it's too hot, and that is something that is a huge bummer for my mood. So I have to definitely like plan things to keep me not getting hot, or activities that won't be hot, because that's really hard for me in the summertime. And I'll know that I'm at my breaking point because I will be like kind of weepy about being hot or anything. Like I'll be be crying about how the Winn-Dixie in my neighborhood got bought by Aldi. And I'll be like, okay, I'm crying about a grocery store. I know that I need my self-care. So those are some of my signs. It's like when I'm experiencing that and getting kind of teary over stuff. So I have been trying to not still take a break from social media and try to consume media in a really intentional way, not just in like a mindless way, or having media on in the background is something I really try hard not to do. And then I also have been trying to cook better meals, because you can't go outside that much right now, but I don't always take the time to like cook healthy meals. So that is something that I've really tried hard as part of my self-care, is to make that simpler by planning better ahead to go to the grocery store and trying to just be see those activities as more of a joy instead of a chore. And it's actually kind of working out for me, and I've made some new stuff, and it has me actually feeling pretty happy this week at like
Yay.
accomplishments. So I
Oh,
feel like
wow, that's awesome.
not something that I normally am good at. So I've been trying to change some of my self-talk around that. When I'm cooking and I'm saying how terrible I am, I will like try to cut myself a little more slack. And yeah, just trying to kind of change some of my mindsets I have around cooking and how I'm bad at it. So that's been my self-care recently.
That's great, Erin. And I love you talking about media and social media and a reminder that it's like you can ebb and flow your consumption of it whenever. You can just give yourself a break. You can uninstall it from your phone for a day. Or like Erin was mentioning, when it's like session time, she's in it, she's plugged in. Like I just think sometimes we forget sometimes that we don't have to make permanent decisions with when we watch the news or when we're on social media. You can filter that through what's going on with you. And I would love to shout out Erin as a wonderful coworker because we work very closely together and she helps me with my self-care, and that I call her multiple times throughout the day, often when I am feeling overwhelmed, and she lets me ramble for a while and then I feel better.
It helps. It literally just helps saying things out loud. That's like that's 9 a.m., right? Like say it out loud, get it out there. It's okay. Get it off your chest.
Right.
That's the point.
All right, Jesse, I'm going to put you on the hot spot. Is that the expression? Probably not. What's your last thing you did for self-care, intentional self-care?
Actually went outside and read a book.
Oh, nice.
Yes. I read 2 books, but in like 2 days. But that's usually what I've been doing. I've been getting off work, reading, sitting outside. It's been a little windy, cold here, not as hot, so it's been nice.
And that may or may not be a sneak peek at a future episode we are having. So stay tuned, listeners,
Yes.
for that. I was trying to think about my last like real intentional self-care thing I did, and it's weird, but I'll tell y'all. It's not inappropriate, it's just weird. So my husband had back surgery about 2 weeks ago, and we were really woefully unprepared for like the recovery he was going to be having when he got home. And he's doing great. He's such a trooper. Love you, Lewis. And but I had moved around some of the furniture in our living room because we realized when talking with the occupational therapist that we never like just sit down. We are either laying down or we are standing. We have no in between, which is a very good, I think, metaphor for just how I am as a person. But, but so we keep typically in our living room a futon that's laid out in like the bed position, angled towards the TV, and like that is how we live. We lay down on that futon, and like he has his like video game set up on the coffee table, and I can watch Bravo reality shows, and that is what we do. But he can't like lay down like that right now while he's recovering, and he needed to get a good chair because he has to like make himself sit up for certain amounts of times during the day and stuff. We did not have one. My parents had to come bring me a chair for him to use. The occupational therapist was like, okay. Also, shout out to her because she clearly took some lessons in active listening because I was having a real moment when I was realizing how much stuff I did not have. And she was very empathetic and a very good listener. But so I had moved the futon into the couch position to try and make sure we had enough room to navigate. And I would still lay down on the futon in couch position, but I was like, this is just not the same. And I figured out a way to have it laid out in its bed position so that I can relax on it in the way I have become accustomed. And I was like, it is weird how much less stressed I feel just having this piece of furniture in this way. So that has been my last intentional act of self-care, and I'm still very happy about it because it just helped.
Space is so important. I'm a big believer in space and comfort and comfortable.
I really dig that you just kind of leaned into that's what you needed. Like with that, like you moved through judgment relatively quickly. And to me, that feels like self-care when we can say like, this is how I like to function, and that can be okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Heather. I hadn't even thought about it that way. Go me. I gave myself what I needed.
Yeah, I stay in judgment for way too long. So yeah, Sharon, good job just being like, no, I need my couch in this position. Like,
I feel like I'm too weird of a person to have too much time of judgment for myself. I wouldn't have any other time left to do stuff. So. Other people can judge me with love and good humor when I'm doing weird things, but you know. Okay, y'all, it is 3:33, so fun angel numbers on our end. And I think that we've come to a wonderful close on our talk today. I really liked just getting to spend time with y'all. Thank you.
Same here.
Thank y'all for having
it was very nice.
All right, Jesse, are you ready for this sign off?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, this has been Real Talk with Jesse and Sherrard.
No filters, no fluff,
just real talk and no judgment. Thank
Yeah.
you, everybody, and stay hydrated, especially if you're down here.